Alright fellas, here we are back in another Pokemon Legends ZA video. This time I want to talk about the very, honestly, pretty high possibility that Quasartico Incorporated is going to be the main antagonistic villains, I guess, of Pokemon Legends ZA. This is kind of just obvious to me. I mean, they anytime a big company comes into this like franchise or series, like anything like that, they're suspicious. Like, come on. Um, we don't really know too much here. The website might have a few more details. So yeah, actually looking at the website here, we do have a little bit of information about Quasartico, like the CEO and her secretary, Vinny here. We got Jet and Vinny. Again, made a couple like different connections between this like woman and Glacia. They look pretty similar just in general, but that's not really the aim of this video. More so, yeah, is Quasartico going to be like the main antagonistic force? I think there's just a good chance of this. Like, she obviously, Jet is the CEO of Quasartico. Her main goal here is to deepen the bonds between people and Pokemon, which is why she is the one that's like under the entire redevelopment plan of Lumio City. If we take a look here at some of the frames right here, you can see Quasartico's logo all over the scaffolding here. Like, they are basically taking over the city. Like, all of its like redevelopment is being funded by this one company, which not a good thing. Which really just makes me think that like something is going to happen in the middle of the story and Quasartico is going to basically have control over the entire city. And it's like, think about whenever you were kicked out of Jubilife Village in Pokemon Legends Arceus because, Kamado kept thinking you were the one that caused the distortion, all that stuff, even after, quelling Dialga and Palkia, right? Well, I feel like something similar could happen here where that same type of thing could happen, but they actually like try to kick you out of the city or like forcibly like go after you in the city because of like the potential technologies that Quasartico might actually end up installing in the city like during this redevelopment plan. And again, they are like behind all of that stuff, like these like wild zones. If we go into like here, I'm gonna bet that like a lot of these wild zones were like developed by them, like the Pokemon were kind of like placed here, the wild grass and stuff. For what reason, we're probably not really sure, but maybe there's like a thing with like Zygarde, because again, obviously Zygarde's like the big Pokemon of this game. It's like maybe they're trying to make this city more like of an ecosystem, I guess, with people and Pokemon thriving with each other in order to like maybe lure in Zygarde. For what reason, obviously can't really say. Do they want like power? Do they want to like take over the region? Do they, whatever they want to do? Who's to say? Obviously, but there is definitely some suspicious stuff with this company just because of the sheer existence of companies in the Pokemon like franchise. I have the Bulbapedia list here pulled up, and we can see a lot of major companies have become like not really great in terms of I guess in terms of ambition. Some of them are fine, but a lot of them are led by like villainous leaders. Silphco and the Devon Corporation are some of the exceptions to this, as in terms of big companies. Like, I'm not going to go over the Poketch company or like the Pokemon News Press. Like, this isn't counting to me. I'm talking about big companies in the franchise. Silphco and the Devon Corporation are definitely they're exclusions to this, because obviously the Devon Corporation is run by like Steven's father, right? Or is it his grandfather? I don't actually remember. Devon, where is he? Yeah, shorten the name of the Devon Company. Yeah, current president is Mr. Stone. Yeah, father of Steven, right? So that makes sense. Like, he's the current leader of the company. Steven's dad makes sense. I mean, Steven's a champion. They weren't really going for these like villainous organizations things back in the day, right? I guess, well, organization is what a lot of evil teams are about. I mean, like companies. Despite the fact that Team Rocket did take over Silphco, which the other one, Silphco itself is not a bad company either. It was like partially taken over by Team Rocket, during like the raid on Silphco in the Kanto games, but it wasn't actually like, intending to be like a harmful company. I think this is also just a thing of like these being bigger companies from like, before the series got like, well, obviously Pokemon was always super popular, but like before they really started to get the idea of making a lot of like companies evil. Or anything like that. I'm also currently trying to play Legends Arceus to go for some space-time distortions, so if you ever hear any like Legends Arceus sounds in the background, or like I pause the video, it might be because a space-time distortion has appeared and I kind of need to do that. So yeah, just letting y'all know. My kickstand broke on my Switch as well, so that's fun. Anyway, so these two companies I would kind of exclude from this, but if we look at other big ones, for example, these two, Lysander Labs and Macros Cosmos, and another one I want to pull up that isn't listed here, the Ether Foundation. These three, this is, okay, neat UI switch. Anyway, these three companies are obviously led by quote-unquote villainous leaders, because obviously, like, Rose is not necessarily a villain. He is, like, the antagonist of this Sword and Shield for the most part. Lysander is just straight up a villain, and Lusamine is, like, you know, kind of 50-50. Like, you know, you fight the Aether Foundation, you know, Lusamine tries to go after Ultra Beasts. She's definitely the main villain in Sun and Moon, but in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, you know, that kind of changes to, like, Necrozma. You know, she's more of, like, not really even a villain. She's just kind of like a character that kind of just goes against the main character, which I guess you could, you know, say is a villain, and, you know, kind of just how that goes. But yeah, so there is that. 1 second. I hate space-time distortions and how their spawning works. Anyway, so yeah, Aether Foundation, Lysander Labs, and Macros Cosmos. These three are like the villainous teams, like companies, I guess, in, well, you know, Generation 6, 7, and 8. Well, that's wow. So they clearly went in a little bit of a streak there. In Generation 9, it wasn't even really a company, right? It was, you know, the professors, which, you know, you could say it's like not a traditional antagonistic force. Like, they really strayed away in more recent times from like the main antagonistic force just being like, you know, an actual villainous person, and more so just being like someone that is like just like kind of a more important like key figure in the game. Like, granted, I guess they have kind of done that a lot before, but it's like they establish in, like, you know, Gen 1, Gen 3, Gen 4 is like, okay, Giovanni, Maxi Archie, Cyrus, these are the villains. Getsis, they kind of established as a villain, sort of, though he was, yeah, no, he was definitely a villain. Team Plasma was, you know, dedicated, like, shown to be evil. Lysander wasn't directly shown to be a villain. It's like later in the game, and then obviously Lusamine was just like the director of the Foundation, and they turned into like the evil organization like kind of like halfway through the Alola games. Macros Cosmos was like the very tail end, you know, stuff like that, right? But anyway, these three are definitely like, you know, companies that are important. Like Macros Cosmos like supplies the energy to the Galar region, like they're, and well, basically everything, like rail industry, air, tech, media, television, like they are a big driving force in the entire Galar region. You know, big rich man here for sure. Lysander Labs developed the Holocaster and a lot of other tech. I don't exactly remember what. Lysander Labs is actually technically a place. Whatever. Let's see. Layout items. Okay, so this is just talking about like the place. Okay, well, either way, Lysander did end up developing like a lot of technologies. Again, you know, the Holocaster was like a big one. Company that created the Holocaster. He's the only character. He has Team Flare Boss, whatever. Yeah. So that's what he invented. It seems that Lysander Labs probably does have a good bit of like technology around the Kalos region as well. And the Aether Foundation, of course, are like the driving for company, or like search Ultra Beasts in like foreign worlds. You know, that's a big thing too for them. And obviously their whole goal, like, I think, you know, thinking about it, like Quasartico here, I hate having to scroll through this. Like this area was to like drive a deeper bond between like people and Pokemon, right? Like, you know, yeah. Organization shelters Pokemon to keep them safe from threats like Team Skull. You know, they obviously they want to like help Pokemon out. It's kind of the same look here as like Quasartico, right? Though granted, a lot of these evil teams, at least, you know, I guess, well, in Macros Cosmos case, they were also like, let's supply energy to the world for people and Pokemon to thrive. But, you know, it wasn't like their big. They were mostly just like energy. give it like, let's give us infinite energy or whatever for the world. But anyway, whatever. So that's my big leading like reason on why I think this is gonna be, you know, the evil team. Is like it's kind of cut and dry. Obviously, like, they could just pull left field, say, oh, the main driving evil villain is completely unrelated to this, and that could happen. It really could. It's just that, like, going off the information we have now, I'm very, very kind of certain of this, just because it makes a lot of sense. It's like they're like apparently going to be doing the entire redevelopment plan, and they also want to drive a deeper bond between people and Pokemon. It's like they're basically taking over the entire city and, you know, making it a people and Pokemon area. That feels like it's obviously, you know, labeled as a good thing, but there could be some bad side effects with it, and, well, you know, we can see how that goes. It also seems like potentially, if you want to look at Mega Evolution here in the game, get a better picture right here. You can kind of see that the Quasartico logo it's similar to the logo that is by all these Pokemon's moves, which leads people to believe that the Mega Evolution, like the technology or whatever for it, like however it's going to be working outside of just like the regular Mega Band and Keystone, you know, that bond is going to be like developed by Quasartico. Like maybe they're the ones developing the Mega Rings now and the Mega Bands, and, you know, these tools, and like maybe they are going under experiments on mega Pokemon, which could be a big reason on why they're trying to look into like the deepening the bond of people and Pokemon. It makes a ton of sense. Again, if we go back here, this is the big thing for her, is like mega evolution is driven off of the bond of the trainer and the Pokemon. Like, look here. Some Pokemon Mega Evolve temporarily, blah blah. When trainers have a strong bond with their Pokemon, a Keystone Word by the trainer resonates with a Megastone held by the Pokemon, allowing Mega Evolution to take place. Obviously, there's a strong bond that is needed whenever you Mega Evolve your Pokemon, and well, that's kind of beat for beat what she's trying to like explore into, the bond of people and Pokemon. So clearly she's also going to be a character that's going to be like big with the Mega Evolution stuff, the big thing of this game. So could she like be doing Mega Evolution experiments? Like, if you think about the Red Gyarados from like Rage, forcing Pokemon to Mega Evolve, or like forcing Pokemon to Mega Evolve under stressful circumstances, or under just different stress tests, like what an actual company or like scientists would do behind the scenes. It's obviously not pretty, and well, we could see that here with these characters. And then Vinny could be like literally either way. Like, he looks like a guy that could be like the main beefy, like, I'm gonna kick your ass type of character, but he also looks like he could be extremely soft, given the I don't even know what you would call these, the things on his head. I honestly don't know what those are, like the hairband or like that hair tie, the thing that's keeping his hair up in like a bun or whatever. I guess that's what that is, but it's got like a Baneri and a Pancham, I think, on it, which is really adorable, honestly. So it could go 50-50 with the guy. Hell, maybe he could be like, what, I didn't know they were doing this bad stuff behind the scenes, and end up like becoming an ally later in the game. Who's to say? But I don't know. I just kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit. I just thought like Quasartico being like the main villain is a little bit of like an almost obvious thing, but also at the same time, we don't know too much. They could easily just change it up on us immediately after and just be like, okay, so they're not the villain, someone else is completely, or it could be someone that is like completely manipulating the company as like, okay, so maybe, it's not the company's fault that this stuff is happening, but maybe that someone in the company is like corrupt, and we could potentially see that. Maybe something similar to like how we see the company Exceed in the Pokemon Horizons anime, without going too much into spoilers there. If you know, well, you know. So yeah, very, very curious to see how that plays out. We have a good bit of precedents for this in order to actually make this theory. Lysander Labs, Macros Cosmos, and the Ether Foundation are pretty good examples, though we do have obviously some good bigger companies like Silphco and Devon Corporation, but they don't tend to focus too much on these companies, and if they are like, I guess, good people or good characters. They've never really done that before, but we have seen them bring in a lot of new stuff that they've never done before in this game. So at the same time, maybe they could be bringing in a big company that's going to be like helping us out a ton, that isn't actually, going to end up becoming evil towards the end of the series. That'd be really cool. I think the biggest example of a company that they have done that for is probably the Devon Corporation, especially considering like their somewhat kind of role in the Delta episode or whatever, like towards the end of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. This is the manga, but still, like, obviously Steven being the champion is a pretty big component there for that as well. But I don't know, again, we'll see. So let me know think about it in the comments below. Very, very interested to see how this goes. Very, very interested. Yeah. I'll see you later. I hope you all enjoyed. Peace.